Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, this is your timeless reading, and if you are returning here, thank you for adding your energy to every upload. I feel like we really need a healing of the higher mind, and we need two very specific healings this week, though whenever you find this reading, it is timeless and it is for you. Don't forget to look at the timestamps and any images on the cards that may stick out to you, because all of that may have some channeled guidance in it for you. So we are going to get some higher mind messages from the Starseed Oracle to start off. Okay, on the bottom of the deck, we have you are part of a team of souls. Call in support. Okay. Then we also have Messenger, bringing harmony and balance. And the 7-Star Sisters, Tapestry, expressions in reverse. Okay, so initially, the first layer of this conversation is about what is happening from a higher standpoint about what it is that you're going through. Because there is this heavy energy that I was, channeling throughout my morning, okay? And I have a lot of black and white here because at the park I saw a black and white butterfly, and I knew that that was really significant, because what is transforming here is definitely something on a higher level that is bringing in harmony and balance, particularly to just your soul, if you're coming to this reading and you're resonating with this, but also your throat chakra and the way that you express yourself, because there is this deeper energy about internalizing your expressions for what feels like a long time. It could be, for several past lives, but definitely throughout this life, and that caused a deep sense of disharmony. And so it created this way that we react to deeply held emotions in almost like what feels like a very violent way. Like we feel violent toward deeply held emotions, okay? And there is spiritual support around you at this time. There may even be spiritual support coming through to you in this reading, because this is a pivotal moment for you to not fall back into old coping mechanisms and learn how to metabolize what feels like an energy of shame that blocks your throat chakra from being able to express itself clearly, because there is this relationship in this reading between the sacral and the throat, okay, which is very, it's a feminine chakra and a masculine chakra, okay, and there are two in between that. There's that heart and there's that confidence, but that's how you're seeing what is compromised, okay, because there is an imbalance in the sacral and an imbalance in the throat, and blockages in between. So you can see why when you communicate, okay, about what you're starting to feel passionate about, what you want to work towards, what you want, what you desire from your sacral chakra, because there is a block in confidence and there is a distortion in the heart space, right? Because of what we have internalized about ourselves. When we end up expressing or not what it is that we really feel, there has been this energy where it has been either negatively expressed or expressed in a way that was harmful to others. And so what you're healing right now in your soul history, in your generational history, in your lifeline, is that imbalance, okay? That has kept you away from your soul family, okay? It has kept you separated from people who were placed here in order to bring you back to self and, anoint your life, okay? On the bottom of the deck, we have decode, third eye in the reverse position. Okay, messenger. Okay, so this is, these two energies are very, they're two confirmations of each other. Okay, so we have the higher self message that yes, you are clearing a deep spiritual imbalance, okay, and creating harmony, but it's about what you communicate. Okay, it's about understanding the message. It's about understanding certain life lessons that are intangible to the eye, that can only be understood. Okay. The first card that I saw jump out was space, okay, and idol. Idol is our winter card. And then we have martyr and twin flames, okay. So if you're coming to this reading, how this lesson manifested in your life was potentially through a twin flame relationship or a higher divine connection, okay? You may even have labeled this connection as karmic because, you know, whether you're coming to this reading feeling like you experience this masculine energy, because I will be honest, this is the story of what has gone on for a masculine, but as a reader I tend to speak to the masculine and not about him. A lot of readers speak about what the masculine is going through, but I just don't feel called to do that. I feel called to speak to him, which is probably why we have a very small community here, and that's fine. I love you all 40 of you. 4 is about foundation security, okay? So we're locked. And I just feel like I speak to you in my readings because we have this tendency to think that like masculine energy like doesn't care, doesn't pay attention. They care a lot more than like you would think, and they're just very secretive about how much they care. I mean, think about all the masculines that have parasocial relationships with any number of girls that they watch their stories every day. Like, that is a depth of caring, okay? It's not just like entertainment at times. It can be this way of internalizing like possibilities of self, who I could be if I was with X, Y, and Z, right? And so that is important for me to say for some reason in this moment, because we're basically talking about a separation, okay, between twin flames, okay, because we have space and we have twin flames, okay? And there is a reflection about why this separation took place, okay? And it took place because the masculine, you know, you were making excuses about why you needed to sacrifice this relationship, and that was coming with decode in the reverse position. It was coming from a blocked third eye. It was coming from your inability to attain something that didn't feel tangible to you, because as a masculine, you are more connected to the 3D, the physically led, okay? And so because you couldn't put your finger on how to address this divine connection, okay, because it felt so intangible to you, because there are elements in a divine connection, especially with third eye, that feel, you know, very serendipitous, like these things just like happened. I so happened to have met this person. It just felt like, you know, these fated events. There is this tendency for masculines to dismiss those things as like one-offs or just like very unpredictable, right? Because the third eye is, you know, what are, you know, it's deeply spiritually connected. It's intuitive. It's what we can't see, but we can only feel, but we can name, and we know, okay? And so with Neptune energy, okay, we are sitting in the karma of, because we felt like we couldn't see, we couldn't label, we couldn't touch, that gave us an excuse, okay, to perpetuate separation, okay? And we reinforced those excuses because we told ourselves that we were sacrificing on behalf of the connection. And we will use another deck to see how to see what is coming with that sacrificial energy. But I also feel that what is happening for you right now is you feel like you need that spiritual support. It's going back to how ancestrally this is the energy that kept you away from your spiritual family. This is the energy that kept you feeling fragmented in the tapestry of connectedness, of the actual people that you are drawn to on a soul level, and not just the earthly people that you've lived your life with, right? Lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. There is this energy with idle and reverse, with conserve, release, reset, where like this releasing this pathway, right? And coming out of the falling away, the decay, that required an internal decaying and an external decaying. Okay, and you're dealing with both, feeling like you should be out of it already, but not realizing that like we're cleaning up the inside and the outside. There's a lot of work to that. Okay, space. Okay, there is deep. My. Okay, let's take a deep breath. Right? Okay, because we have reminiscing on the bottom of the deck and butterflies to clarify space, and space is the separation card. But we have butterflies in reverse, right? Devotion, happiness, feeling complete, okay? If you're coming to this reading and you're identifying as this masculine, you've probably been thinking about when certain separations in this divine counterpart took place, okay? And why you heavily relied on ghosting, okay? Because it was easier to just disappear, right? Because it was, again, this is a blocked third eye if I ever saw it. This is when you are living in lies, okay? And when you're allowing illusions to be real, okay? That is why that was on the bottom of the deck, because it's showing you how this disconnectedness with expression has manifested, okay? Because you may have kept coming back to this connection karmically, Neptune energy. You know, Neptune is sudden change. It's unexpected. It's, you know, it's all these things, right? And you kept coming back to this connection feeling like it was a convenience thing, but it was devotion, okay? It was you masking devotion under convenience, okay? And now you feel the depth of the devotion in this separation, in this impasse, okay? Because you need to be recalibrated. You need to understand. When you're looking back on these memories, I feel a deep sense of shame, okay? Because you see, oh my gosh, and butterflies, what did I say? What did I say about butterflies and being butterflies? Okay, you're in the transformation period of a butterfly. You are becoming mush. Okay, you know, before the caterpillar turns to the butterfly, it becomes this gelatinous mush inside the cocoon, right? But that is exposing the way that you mishandled, okay, devotion, okay? And you feel deep shame for that because you feel as though you literally destroyed pure happiness, okay? Like you destroyed pure love, pure devotion toward you, okay, as you're reminiscing. And this is why I felt like we needed a higher mind healing, because you coming to this understanding is literally evidence of your humanity returning, okay? It is not it is not cause for alarm. It is not cause for alarm. It is actually a celebration of your humanity returning to your soul, because you should feel like that, okay? You should. We just don't have to stay there. Okay? We don't have to stay there. Idle. Right? Because you're maturing. You are maturing even if it doesn't look like it. Even if it looks like you're melting down, you are maturing. Right? Because wouldn't you consider a caterpillar's evolution to a butterfly a maturation of sorts? Right? Okay, so because you're struggling right now to love yourself. You're struggling to love yourself. Okay. We have children in reverse, confused in reverse, and clown in reverse. CCC. So C might be significant to someone. 3 C's, 3 and C. Okay, might be significant. But with children in reverse position, sometimes this is like the 6 of Cups card in this deck, which can be about, it can be part of this energy of like reminiscing. It can be about your childhood. It can be about actual children. It can be about childlike emotions, right? But with it in reverse, it's about emotional maturity and why we're going internal now with tearing things away in your life. Like, I think that things have been falling away externally, but it's also happening internally. And so this is just giving you more clarity about like what it is that you're feeling, okay? Because we are exposing all of the reasons that you create additional barriers to loving yourself, because this is about a lack of self-love. Because I said this is deeply like shame, okay, ridden, okay, shame cycle. Because with clown in the reverse position, humiliation, feeling ashamed, appearances in reverse, there is deep, this is before this jumped out, this is deep shame. This is deep, okay? And it's because it's not just like, oh, this is my punishment, like, you know what I mean? Like, this is my karma. I'm reaping what I sow, you know, kind of thing. It's because you're getting found, okay? You are no longer lost in the sauce about where you're supposed to be, who you're supposed to be, how you're supposed to act, okay? And how you need to go. Tommy voice. I spend too much time online. Okay, like it's just like you're becoming clear, and that is making you self-cringe, okay, internally at things that you did. And that's called maturing and growing. It might be rough, okay, to look at, but you're still doing it. You're doing it like it's your B-day, okay? So, martyr. This is shadow work, by the way. So if somebody's asking you if you're doing shadow work, yes, you are. Because you wouldn't be thinking about this and dealing with it if you weren't. Talk about higher mind healing. So we have Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. I was like, we need to heal that high mind, okay? And this is air energy. Air energy is communication, okay? And each energy source has a form of its own healing, okay? If you are a nerd like me and you like Avatar: The Last Airbender, you know that like water has healers, and you see how they use the water to heal physical pain or whatever. They're still like fire healers, right? But like in reality, every element, when you think about grounding, putting your feet on the ground, the earth, there is a healing element to that. The element of air is hard to identify the healing because like it feels very invisible, okay? Third eye, right? But it's also communication, and we don't see a physical representation sometimes of our communication style in our relationships, and if we're evolving in that space, and if we're just taking in information and then acting a completely different way, or if we're actually like sustaining what we are learning, okay? And so this is about the integration in these new feelings and how you're going to communicate moving forward so that you can, you know, you're experiencing the healing of air, which is which can be, it's in multiple things, but in this case it's productive reflection. Okay, using the mind in a productive way, because ultimately what you're addressing is a large lifestyle change, okay? We have unsatisfied upright and signs in the reverse position. And you wouldn't necessarily associate changing your communication style with a lifestyle change, but it is because with unsatisfied, you didn't care if you were non-reciprocal, okay? You didn't care. Like, you made an excuse for why you didn't, why you were never honest, okay, with yourself and with others, and why you gave less than what you knew something deserved. And that something, okay, has to do with you and lifestyle choice, okay? And why you mentally rationalized it being okay to stay in your lower energy, to communicate in a lower way in your relationship. So you required a partner who could communicate at that level to, you know what I'm saying? With signs in the reverse position, right now, I think that there is a bit of dwelling. Okay, let me take a sip of water. You stuffed down a lot of the evidence that you needed to change the way you were living. And so we're also internalizing shame for that. So let me ask you this. At what point are you going to give yourself a break from the shame? Because you can be ashamed all day. That doesn't change what happened or the fact that you're dissatisfied with the outcome, and it doesn't make you less deserving of changing this. Changing how you communicate, changing how you show up in relationships, choosing evolution, right? Okay. Yeah. I just want to hold on. Okay, because we just got winter in reverse. Sorry, mess up my set here. We have winter in reverse twice. That is wild, son. Okay. I'm saying that because they're like this way of feeling about self, this way of going about things, this way of looking at things, it has to die off internally in order for it to die off externally. It has to have it is an inside job. Okay, but this is coming over twin flames, okay? And this is very significant. Very. Because this is also speaking back to that energy of separation, okay? Because you if you're coming to this reading and this is resonating for you, you and your divine counterpart have been separated for a while, and probably for a lot of lives. Okay, to be honest, this is what it feels like. Probably a lot of lifetimes. Okay, and what we don't realize is the biggest reason why we never get past this point as divine counterparts is because the masculine can't get past the shame. The feminine cannot get past the despair, the bruise of the ego. Nobody can get past how their ego has been demolished, okay, in the entire process, okay? And we are living in a time, we are in a moment where we can do this shit. Okay? That is why the winter has turned internally, okay? Because what happened first was you started to become dissatisfied with your external reality, okay? You were confused internally about why you were feeling that. You were feeling a bit of shame. You didn't want to name it. You had all these excuses with martyr energy. Now you're understanding that you need to mature. You can't ignore these signs anymore, okay? But you're like, but why am I also falling apart internally? Because now it is time. Now that we've got your attention, okay? With messing up your external, now we're dealing with your internal. Oh my, oh my God. Oh my God, bro. That is crazy. That is crazy. Give me a second. I need another sip of water. Let me tell you something. If you're a feminine coming to this reading and you are picking up on this energy, so with reminiscing, you may be playing old events that took place, or you may even, like what has been happening to me, you may be getting downloads about certain energies that were present during times of separation that you were not aware of, okay? And what it is, it's somewhat of a psychic attack, right? But at the same time, it is also just telepathic transference, and it's the mirror, right? Like when I say it's a psychic attack, I say that because it's trying to get you to mirror the same depth of shame that the masculine is feeling in this reading by projecting that pain outward, okay? And I'm here to nip that in the bud. Because we don't need to do that. That's not going to, when I say it's a psychic attack, that's what the Matrix wants you to do, okay? Because it'll keep you trapped in ego and shame and frustration. But we're transcending that, okay? I wasn't done shuffling. I just want to see what's on the bottom of the deck. Emotions in the reverse position. Exactly. You as the feminine, you are feeling the implosion of the reality of how the masculine treated you and his depth of despair about that. You are. But honey, do not externalize it. Okay? Don't give in to the energy that wants to place blame on your masculine. I'm not saying that he's not at fault for the things that he's done. He is, and he's understanding that. What I'm saying to you, because we got twin flames twice, is it is not on you to externalize that and spew your frustration. Journal it, speak it if it comes up for you. But what I'm getting is a lot of feminines coming to this reading, you metabolize this already. Like the little details and downloads that you're getting, like for example, for me in my life, like I got like this, like a download of just like, just something I did not consider. Like I never, you know how they say there's a thin line between love and hate? I never considered the concept that I was hated at any point by my masculine. I never really felt hated. I felt disregarded, right? But I didn't feel genuine hatred, right? And I got this like download of just like, but when you are internally, but when you express externally what you feel internally about yourself, okay, what may be felt is that the masculine did feel like, I want to harm, I feel hatred because I'm mad that that my feminine is in my face showing me, whatever I'm not, okay? Does that make sense? So like when I got that download, I was like, okay, like I didn't necessarily need to know that. um I'm not going to take offense to it because I'm just starting to be very aware of psychic attacks, and I'm like, y'all are not gonna get me. Okay. See if there's any other messages for us from this for twin flames. I can't believe it came out twice. That is crazy. Crazy. Beyond. Beyond. These masculines are beyond triggered, my boy. Okay. Union in reverse. Exactly. Exactly. If we, when I say we, I mean the unit, the collective. If we do not allow these triggers to externalize, wow, right under triggers, okay, is earth signs in reverse. When I say we're not grounding these triggers. We're releasing them so they can get out of the field, okay? It's because the union is falling into place, okay? And obviously that would trigger the matrix, okay? This is why these flashbacks are happening, okay? Dear masculine, it is not an excuse not to love yourself. It is an excuse to learn humility. You're coming back to your humanity because you're feeling the emotional consequences of your choices on both sides. Feminine, you don't have to relive this. You don't have to go over this again. You don't have to get mad again like you're on a reality show and you're sitting at the reunion. You don't have to do this. We just have to, hopefully this reading is a tool that helps you, especially as a feminine, journal it, talk it, get it out, and release it out of the field because union is near. Okay, so I hope you got something out of this reading. Thank you so much for watching. If you're interested in a personal reading, you can find information on how to book with me in the description box, and you can also donate to support this content in a link in the description box as well. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you in the next video.